Hebrews chapter 13 paints the picture of the why behind any missions endeavor. The author paints the picture of Jesus dying alone on the hill at Golgotha, a barren place outside the city. It's a place people go to die, in the same way that animals sacrificed in the temple were burned. There's no love present there, only miserable, painful, and lonely endings. Out of a love greater for us than we can ever imagine, Jesus carried love to a loveless place. And in the very next verse, we're called to bear the reproach he endured and head outside the city gate as his love for us compels us to carry and proclaim God's love to the loveless places of the world and to carry within us the hope of the city that is to come, the coming kingdom of God where his glory reigns, and we find ourselves basking in the safety of that glory where all that was lost will one day be put right again. In just a couple of verses, we can safely assume that God intends missions to be an outward-facing endeavor that advances not only his love, but a clear and certain future. And he calls us to step outside of our comfort zones and work through him to set free those who, through fear of death, were subject to lifelong slavery.
So what does it mean for us at Trinity Park? It actually means two things. First, growing in grace together means that we're actively working collectively to become a more outward-facing community of faith and gradually leave behind our more personal inward-facing tendencies. As we're transformed by the life and death of Jesus, we'll head into the margins of a community where people from every social and economic context can hear that Jesus is the best answer for their challenging life issues. But more importantly, that he is the only hope for the abundant and joyful life that we were created for. Second, the Bible is very clear that the Great Commission isn't just a great suggestion. Jesus leaves us in Matthew 28 with the command to make disciples of people of all nations and promises that he gives us not only hope for today, but he will be with us in that endeavor no matter how long it takes, even to the end of the age. It follows then that the disciple making at Trinity Park isn't a one and done deal. It's a long-term endeavor that requires all of us to work to advance the gospel locally and internationally. We do this by living in redemptive community and learning to reorient our minds and our hearts to be outward-facing, seeing neighbors and nations as God's image bearers in need of his grace.
At Trinity Park, we're endeavoring to bring the gospel to people in our community and around the world through our local outreach efforts, like our Adopt a Block events with Raleigh Dream Center and working with World Relief to welcome refugees to our community. Globally, we support individuals and organizations bringing the gospel to unreached people groups, persecuted people groups, refugees, exploited women and children, and at-risk communities. Similar to our own diverse congregation at Trinity Park, our combined local and global partners cover 6 continents, 25 countries, more than 15 languages, and countless dialects. Our partners carry love to barren, loveless places of the world that desperately need the gospel. They help new believers find freedom, endure political and religious persecution, recover from natural disasters and wars, find new homes and new beginnings in a new country, and then a place to worship and be discipled, where they in turn grow in their faith and make disciples. This is the work we're called to as individuals, but especially as a church. And we'd love to invite you to join with us as you can through prayer, financial support, or volunteering as a team member.